Imagine graduating from college, stepping into your adulthood full of hope, and realizing that your biggest obstacle isn't your career path, but a monthly bill so large that it feels like a second rent payment. Student loan debt doesn't affect just an individual. Even if personally, student loans don't affect you. The economic strain impacts friends, family, and even the workforce we all depend on. As a current college student myself, preparing to head into my own career, facing the reality of tuition costs, I've spent time researching how replacement systems impact young adults, including federal reports and expert analysis. The student loan debt crisis harms financial stability for millions of Americans, and the most effective solution is expanding access to income driven replacement programs or RDR programs. First, before I get into RDR programs, I would like to go over the scope of the student loan debt crisis, and then why it's so deadly and how people can easily get trapped inside student loan debt, especially now. But let's go into that. Student loan debt, the student loan debt crisis is the most significant financial burden on up and coming Americans and graduating and graduate or graduate not even recent grads, but even the past graduates in the last 10 to 15 years experience this strain. It's one of the most significant financial burdens in American history today. According to the U.S. Department of Education, more than 43 million Americans owe student loan debt, totaling over $1.7 trillion. A report from the Federal Reserve shows that student loan debt is now the second highest type of consumer debt, behind only mortgages, based on the Federal Reserve in 2023. Many borrowers struggle to make payments while covering basic needs, causing delayed milestones like buying a home, starting a family, or saving for retirement. Now that you get a gist of the scope of the student loan crisis, I like to go over why this is getting worse, especially now. The main causes of the crisis stem from the rising cost of college and the repayment policies that don't match graduates their expected salary and their financial realities. Tuition has increased by more than 130% over the past 30 years, based on a report from the College Board in 2022. Many borrowers begin repayment with low or unstable incomes, making fixed monthly payments unrealistic. Traditional repayment plans do not adjust to the borrower's financial situation, causing defaults and financial distress. So I'm trying to paint an image of why it's just it really just would this financial reality would disincentivize college students from exploring or up and coming college students from exploring, their and expanding their minds in college, and existing college students. Why it would just make them unable to return for a master's degree, or just unable to cope with the reality that they already have, with their existing degree, and how to make it more useful for them. And just because they can't, it's not necessarily that they can't make it more useful. It's just that they have so many other demands and financial responsibilities. Add on top of that, their student loans. It just makes it a very hard reality or hard circumstances for them. But these three causes show why a new approach is needed, one that adjusts to people's income instead of punishing them for it. And this is where I talk about IDRs, or an income driven repayment, which is the most effective and a realistic way of solving people's financial problems when it comes to handling student debt and repaying it. Income-driven repayment plans tie monthly payments to a borrower's income, ensuring payments are affordable and manageable. The Save plan, based on the U.S. Based on a report from the U.S. Department of Education in 2023, shows that borrowers on IDR can see lower monthly payments and clear path to loan and a clearer path to loan forgiveness, setting a strong model for expansion. Expanding IDR would reduce defaults, improve financial stability, and allow young adults to participate fully in the economy, not just as a heavy, like, taking on a heavy passive role in the economy, but actually being active participants and making decisions and actions that would benefit the greater economy, like purchasing homes, starting families early on, and just having more financial freedom, especially with a payment plan that's more flexible and that's able to be adjusted based on a person's income and what they have at hand. So realistically, like, I would like to, personally, just like, why isn't this already a thing? Like, when I came across this research, like, I just like noticed, like, why. I kept asking myself, why isn't this already a thing? And I unfortunately I don't have the answers for that today, but I like to transition into my conclusion. As we've seen, like, as I hope I made clear with with this speech, is just like the importance on just like the scope of the crisis that we face. I mean, everybody knew student loans were bad, and it was just really like hard to cope with. But I guess, like, I just want to add more tangibility to that reality, and I like to leave off with just if college is supposed to open doors, it shouldn't lock people into debt. And I think with things like income driven replacement programs, there are like keys that's an example of a key to unlock a more stable and more hopeful future for borrowers or student loan debt borrowers. So thank you for listening.